Hello there, everyone. Patricia Hayes here with today's Coffee Time Career Chat. So glad to be here. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Again, my name is Patricia Hayes. I am Executive Advisor, Empowerment Coach, and Authentic Networking Strategist. And that means I love being the brains behind the scenes as I help professionals, uh, business execs, and entrepreneurs to level up in their careers and their business so that they can achieve their goals in the way that's fully aligned for them while making sure to leverage their professional relationships in a way that will be sustainable and keep them aligned with the purpose for their careers and their lives. So, all that said, super excited to have this coffee time career chat today as we focus on National Career Development Month. So I hope that you are taking advantage of the focus on career development this month and that you start laying out some specifics about your own professional growth and development. And that this part of the series for this month will help you along that way. So today, in recognition of Career Development Month, I am talking about pre-positioning for career growth. And when I first came to that, I was like, what exactly? I was even myself was like, what exactly do I mean? Well, it's that whole thing of making sure that we take a step back and we get ready to take the actions that we need to take. So it's kind of that, getting a good look of the landscape so that you can get in position for where it is you ultimately want to go. So the first thing that comes to mind in talking about this particular issue is that it's super important to reflect and reassess. And I sound like a broken record, but I'm going to keep saying it because so many people still miss the mark with this. They do not take the time to do a quality reflection and reassessment of their current situation. Unfortunately, especially when we're stressed, especially when we feel pressed about making a decision, we won't spend the time needed, not just, that would be nice, but it's actually needed to engage in some high quality reflection about what it is we're really trying to do, what it is we're really trying to get to, what's our why. And this is such an important part, especially when you're in this transition mindset. It's super important to engage in that thought. Okay. So, as you're thinking about those things and taking that time to do so, hopefully unrushed, but at least very deliberately, it allows you not only to sit and think about where it is you are, where you've been, and where you're going, but also that reflection turns into reassessing where you are, what you're doing, and where you're headed. Because when you have that time to really sit with it, to think about it, and to recognize that it's time for a shift or a change, that is where the real growth starts to happen. Okay. Now you're laying foundation for the growth. Okay. So when you give credence to those thoughts, to that reconsideration, to that recognition that, you know what, things have shifted here and it's time for me to do something different, to go to a new level. This is why it's super important. I mean, especially right now where there are millions of people who are literally making some major life decisions, not just career decisions, but life decisions because they recognize now after this pandemic and in the midst of things still shifting and changing that perhaps the way that they were living, the way that they were working is not really where they want to be, for the next 3, 5, 10 years. That's not what we want to do anymore. This pandemic has influence is such a small word in this context, but has just completely redirected how people approach their careers and their lives. And so you have folks who are in this midst and not quite sure, I'm like, what is it that I should be doing next? Well, when they take the time, when you take this time to step back and be very deliberate about the reflection, be very deliberate about assessing what's important to you, how do you want to live your life, how do you want to work in your career moving forward, this is what will give you the foundation for making that transition and that switch in a way that is aligned with who you are and where you want to be today. Okay. Now, that's not to say you won't be uncomfortable. You probably will be very uncomfortable, especially as we still have these contrasting forces, if you will, where folks are still saying, oh, I just want things to quote, go back to normal. And I'm like, we're not going back to normal. There is no, oh, no, like we're in a new normal. Okay. So that's that piece, right? Where we have this resistance about what it is we're going to because it's the unknown. But for some people and a lot of people, it's like, but I can't go back to what the way things were. It doesn't work for me anymore. So feel free. That's the thing. You really need to have that freedom to sit down and to take the time to engage in that reflection, to gauge in that assessment of who you are, what you're doing, and why you're doing it. This is a major part of when I'm first working with people one on one. I take them through this assessment that ask them a bunch of questions, many of which are very uncomfortable, right? Because it may get to like, what do you think is standing in your way? Who are the people that are in your way? What are the habits that are blocking you? And sometimes people are able to work through this quickly. And then I have clients who are like, they go radio silent. And I'm like, hey, what's up? And they're like, yeah, I really wasn't expecting to be triggered by that, but I was. But that's because it forces them to sit down and actually do some reflection. And that reflection is causing them to be honest about how they're being impacted by situations, habits, other people, and just coming to the realization of the impact that it's having and how it's affecting their professional and personal growth. Okay. This is why this is so important. It's important for us to give this time because it's laying a foundation for where we go next. Okay. Where we go next. And remember, we're talking about for growth reasons, not just for change purposes. Change for purposes is, dare I say it, kind of a scarcity mindset. I'm like, I need to get away from this, and I'm just going to go do something else because I need to get away from this. Well, guess what? What are you running to? Because if you haven't done the reflection work and to figure out what's causing you so much angst and why and what it is you really want to go to, you could be running straight to another situation that's just as bad, if not worse. And that is what no one wants that. No one wants that. So think of it not from, I just got to get out of this situation, but let's talk about how can I grow? Oh man, that's so powerful. How can I grow through this situation in order to grow me for the future? How can I grow for my future as a result of this situation? That's a great question. Okay. You're going to see that one again. How can I grow through this situation for my future? Okay. All right. Very important. Very important. Okay. Now, and then the second thing that we want to talk about was because when you allow yourself that reflection to do that assessment, the next natural thing to be is you have to then allow yourself to be open to the opportunities that will present themselves, the opportunities that are presenting themselves, right? They may be new, they may be very different, and they may be challenging. That's not a bad thing. When you're using the word challenge, it's not always a bad thing. Challenges can help to grow us, okay? Challenges can grow us. It's all about perspective, okay? So, how are you allowing the challenges that you're facing to grow you as you level up to the next version of you, to the level of your next, professional, career, personal development moment, right? And so be open to that. This is that piece where I often speak and tell people to take the blinders off. Too often we have these blinders on the side, and we're just like, well, I've got to just go forward and just keep doing that thing. But when you take the blinders off and you leave yourself open to seeing some things you perhaps have not been open to seeing before, this again allows you to take some time to really figure out what it is you're doing and where you're going, and if there's some new considerations that you need to take into account. And that's important. But some people will say, "Oh, but I need those blinders so I can stay focused." But what if you're focused on the wrong thing? What if keeping the blinders on is having you focus on the wrong thing, and that's not getting you to a growth point? Man, that's some good stuff, right? Right? So sometimes, yeah, we do have to stay focused and we need that. But when we're in these moments like we are today of just, massive transition and reassessment, let's take the blinders off. Let's take a moment to say, what is it that I really want to do? If it leads you back to where you are, then great. But if it leads you to a new space, don't be afraid to explore that space. Give it some thought, give it some consideration, give some consideration to those new opportunities, to those different opportunities, because sometimes they're not new. They may be old opportunities that have resurfaced. Hey, and guess what a blessing that is, because we don't always get a second chance at something that's come before. So it's definitely worth taking a look at and giving some weight to it. All right. The third thing is to make sure that you are willing and ready. I won't even say willing, but ready to take action courageously. And why did I stick in there courageously? Because sometimes we are not ready. We are scared to death, but we can still move forward and take that step and be courageous about it in spite of the fear we may feel, in spite of the challenge that may lie ahead. Just to do it, be brave, take that step with courage, and move forward. And a lot of times we don't give ourselves credit for taking action with courage. And so this is that moment in time where I want to say congratulations to you if you've already done that. And then congratulations to you if you are in a position of, I don't have any idea what it is, but I'm going to go do this thing. I am opening myself to considering it and to take that action, to give thought to something new, to pursue a dream, to leave a toxic work environment, to move forward from a comfortable work environment. It's not always toxic. It just may not be one where you're growing anymore. All of those things are places where it's so important for us to take this time, pre-position ourselves for the growth that's coming next. Do the work, engage in it, be open to what's coming your way, and then make an informed decision about what action you're going to take next. Even if it means, doing it scared, being totally uncertain about what's going to happen next, not knowing the next steps. It's all okay. Remember, the goal is to be in alignment with what your goals and your dreams are, with your purpose, so that you can move forward from this point on in a way that really and truly gives you freedom that you may not have had before. All right. You'll feel differently. And so that's what I have to bring to you today. Hope that that's so very helpful and that you take some time to unpack that. Happy to have a conversation for anyone who wants to get on the phone and have a quick consult or just DM me. So, check out my calendar link or just DM me and I will send it to you so that we can go have a little conversation about what this looks like for you moving forward. Because guess what? This is the time. We can make change in our lives anytime, right? It is not bound by a certain time of the year. But this is that time of the year where people really and truly start to think about it more as they prepare for the next calendar year. So I invite you to do that work, to prepare for it, and to get ready for what's next with you. So hit me up in the DMs if you want to do a consult. I'll be laying out some great goodies for Black Friday as well as a winter workshop that where I really look forward to being able to help people to focus on what their plan is professionally moving forward into new spaces for them. Okay? Take care. Thank you so much and I hope you have a fantastic remainder of the week. Bye-bye.